Dillian Whyte has the biggest balls in boxing's heavyweight division and perhaps the biggest balls in all of boxing. And if you disagree, then you're probably a pussycat. Knuckleheads, welcome to Fighters Rep, where we give you our free fights, interviews in the fight game, and fight commentary from the mind of a promoter. I bring up Dillian Whyte because Dillian Whyte, in my opinion, has the biggest balls in boxing, definitely the biggest balls in the heavyweight division, and he's always ready and willing to fight the toughest opponent available, and he does it again on Saturday against Alexander Povetkin. This guy, Dillian Whyte, is the closest you can get to the personification of a huge middle finger to the boxing establishment and to the culture that's been destroying and eroding boxing for the last several decades, something we talked about on yesterday's show. Dillian Whyte did not have to fight Alexander Povetkin, a very dangerous, high-risk, low-reward 40-year-old former heavyweight champion of the world who was a gold medalist at the Athens Olympics, a gold medalist in the World Championships, and a gold medalist in the European Championships. A guy who continuously has been campaigning at the top of the heavyweight division for over a decade. A guy in Alexander Povetkin who's only ever lost to Vladimir Klitschko and to Anthony Joshua. And why is Dillian Whyte taking this fight? Because he's got the biggest balls in boxing. Let me explain further. Dillian Whyte is currently the WBC mandatory. That's the belt that Tyson Fury has. He could potentially sit back and wait for the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder trilogy to be completed, which now sounds like it's in jeopardy, but he could sit back and wait for that to be completed and pick the winner of that fight. He's the mandatory. However, he's not doing that. He's never sat on his laurels. He continues to compete. He continues to seek out the toughest challenges, and he's going right after Alexander Povetkin, the same way he decided to take on the little-known Oscar Rivas, a very dangerous fighter who had beaten Andy Ruiz in the amateur ranks. Dillian Whyte's resume is right up there with the best resume in heavyweight boxing. The only person that you can argue has a better resume than Dillian Whyte in the heavyweight division is Anthony Joshua. And Deontay Wilder, you cannot even bring his resume around these three guys from the UK, Anthony Joshua, Dillian Whyte, and Tyson Fury. And I say from the UK, but definitely big shout out to Jamaica because Dillian Whyte was actually, I believe, born in Jamaica and moved to the UK. But I digress. He's a UK fighter, and I believe he has the biggest balls in boxing. And he is a huge, walking, talking, entertaining middle finger to boxing establishment who's once again taking on the toughest guys available. And I believe he's doing that because if you don't know about Dillian Whyte like I know as a kickboxing promoter, Dillian Whyte was a kickboxer, 20-1 European K1 champion, ranked number 1 for many years in kickboxing, and he brought that rugged, gritty mentality of I'll fight anyone, anywhere, anytime into boxing. Because the guys in kickboxing don't have the luxury that people in boxing do, where they can build up their career against a bunch of tomato cans and then just pick and choose who they want to fight. I mean, there's some corruption, but it's not at that level. Dillian Whyte is a heavyweight that everybody can get behind, and I'm going to say it again. The best, or one of the best, resumes in heavyweight boxing, only comparable to Anthony Joshua, and I would put both Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte's resumes slightly ahead of even Tyson Fury. Now, that doesn't mean I believe these guys are better than Tyson Fury. If I'm being honest, I think Tyson Fury is the best heavyweight right now. But as far as the resumes go, I do believe Dillian Whyte has a better resume. I do believe that Dillian Whyte, and I've been saying it forever, and you can argue with me until you're blue in the face, I do believe that Dillian Whyte is a better heavyweight than Deontay Wilder. And even though Dillian Whyte already went into the ring and got knocked out against Anthony Joshua in what was a much more competitive fight than people thought it was going to be, I do believe that if he goes back in there against Anthony Joshua, he will have great success because Anthony Joshua, I believe, has been slightly compromised by the Andy Ruiz series. He's changed his fighting style, and if he maintains that style, I think a high-pressure guy like Dillian Whyte can really get to him. And B, nobody has improved on the job the way Dillian Whyte has. And the way he's improved on the job is by taking on the toughest, hardest challenges available. And the first person that pops into my head, and I believe it's a fellow Jamaican, just like Dillian Whyte, his countryman, is Glenn Johnson, the guy who knocked out Roy Jones Jr. A guy who learned on the job, a rugged, tough guy, and a guy you want to get behind in the heavyweight division. There are people that don't like Dillian Whyte. But again, I ask you guys, move your nationality and your pride and whatever it is to the side and look at people objectively for what they are. Who has Dillian Whyte backed down from? What challenge has he not accepted? What more do you want a guy to do than to fight everybody that's in front of him? I think, especially on this side of the pond, that we can learn a lot from a guy with balls. With balls the size of Dillian Whyte's balls. Knuckleheads, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, the bell notification icon next to it. Join Knucklehead Nation. Leave your comments and opinions in the chat. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this. Dillian Whyte's my favorite heavyweight because of his attitude, because I believe he's the only guy in the heavyweight division that's willing to risk it all every time and not take a soft touch. Let me know what you guys think about that. Also, there are Fighters Rep shirts and gear in the link below. Anything you guys purchase helps me continue to build the channel and the only kickboxing promotion with a pro license in the state of California. Knuckleheads, we'll see you soon.